So we're not live, but let's pretend we are.
Okay, so I'll
So
try
we
not
don't.
to
So
swear.
we don't need to produce anything. What we are is we're in InfoSecurity Europe, 30 years, as they can tell right there from the banners, and we're gonna talk about educating people, training people into cybersecurity, which I think is one of the biggest challenge that we have.
Yeah.
Because I think by now we know it's not only a technical problem, but it's a people. And I'm not going to say problem. It's related to people. It's a problem if we turn it into a problem, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know what you think about that and what you do in the industry. So to start, I would say if you can share a couple of words about yourself.
Yeah.
Who you are and how you got in the industry, which you just told me, but I would like for you to share with our audience.
Yeah, no problem. So my name's Jemma. I'm the founder of a company called CultureGem, and I am a security, behaviour and culture transformation consultant. I focus on the people and process side of cybersecurity. We don't touch the technology in any way at all. I'm basically trying to build an army of cyber-aware people so we can fight against the bad guys, and we do it for my nan, because I love my nan. She's the most important person to me, and my view is if my nan understands cybersecurity, then your nan understands cybersecurity, and your mum and your sister and your brothers and your kids and your cousins, and then we can protect ourselves against the digital risks.
There's one say that, I don't know, it's attributed to Albert Einstein, but I think it could have been said by many other people. If you really understand the topic, you're able to explain it to, a 12 years old kid or your grandma, which is, so I love that approach for sure. And I think there's definitely something that we've been doing wrong in the industry, which is kind of like to keep it that secret sauce or the shaman, the magical, and we know how to solve things and you don't, and you're the problem, or you shouldn't be touching anything, or maybe just one button that fix everything. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think in cybersecurity and technology, I think we like to be the smartest person in the room, but that's not the best situation for people. And if you look at any cyber incident, there's been some large-scale retail attacks recently, globally, and every single one of those involved people from all levels. I was just doing a talk downstairs actually around the humans behind the hack, and when you look at the people, we're not just talking about the victim, the person who opened the front door, because why wouldn't they? They're following a process that's broken, or they have a lack of understanding. We're talking about the customer at those stores that may now not be able to get what they need. We're talking about the supply chain, the independent farmer that produces milk or sausages or whatever it is that they do, right down to the motivations behind the bad actor or the hacker. And with the recent cyber attacks that we've seen, they've been young people, and we've let down those people by not showing them that they could be on the good side and they could be fighting and ethical hacking, and that's a career path. But I think what the quote is: seek to understand before you can be understood, and that goes for every person within the attack chain, really, every human that's impacted. And it's our responsibility as cyber people to make sure that people do understand what that means. Whether that be my nan going shopping, and now she's at higher risk of scams herself because her data could have been leaked in these situations, or right up to the board who need to know. So the human side is so important, and the processes and understanding all of that, not just the tech. There's only so far that the tech will take you. And if we just keep investing in the tech in the way that we've been doing, I think 10% of an IT budget is spent on cyber tech, and less than 1% of that is spent on human controls, human interventions. We buy the shiny boxes with the flashing lights, and we don't worry about the people but the people are the ones affected by it, and they're the ones defending against it. So they're so important.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite quotes. I call it the blinking light and funny noises.
Yeah.
And we just love to follow that, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes for really no reason other than is they're shiny and blinking and they're funny.
Yeah.
But do they serve a purpose, right? And in order to serve the purpose, do we use it as the tool that they are and not just the solution on its own? So one of my questions, and it's funny because it's coming out already in many of the conversation that we've been having here, even with our friends from analysts from Forbes, behavior, right? That I think is going to be my word of the event, behavior, which, instead of being a tech acronym, is going to be actually this word. How do you think you can bring something that goes through the office or the corporate, let's say, castle and walls where it's well protected by a lot of tech, and then bring it home and use maybe your knowledge as somebody that works in a company that has been trained and bring it to your family as well, because we're all together in this. It's culture, and it takes time to change culture. So do you find, I don't know, do you have an approach that should be applied to both?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Now, realistically, you've got a cyber team. Most companies, let's talk big companies that have got enterprise level security tooling, shiny box, blinky boxes and things like that. They've got a team of people. It's their job to protect you.
Right.
And they are, I'm one of them, so I can talk negatively, but we're not great at talking to people. The cyber people are not great at engaging with, the general population, because we
wonder why.
Right, we don't understand them. We don't talk to them on their level, and there are many, many reasons why that is the case. It is their job to protect the organisation. It's not my job. If I work on the reception, or if I'm in marketing, it's not my job to protect the organisation, right? Because you pay the cyber team and they've got loads of budget and they say, no, you can't do that. No, that's wrong, without any explanation, without understanding why, the motivations behind the average person. So how you get people to change their behaviours and actually care about this is if you consider like the smoke detectors in a home, right? Your smoke detectors go off, and whether there's a fire or not, you pay attention. You look, you get your towel, you take an action because the noise is happening, and you do something. You open windows, you open doors, and you protect yourself. You're alert to your surroundings, and that's what we don't do in cyber. We don't do situational awareness, and we don't tell people what to do, and we don't get them to look. We say, look for the typos in the phishing emails, but what if there are no typos? Hover your link, but what if your corporate email monitoring system puts a safe link? So you hover the link and you get a safe link, so you can't tell whether that's a legitimate link or not. So we tell people all of these things, but the reality is we're not making them situationally aware. We're not showing them that when the fire alarm goes off, here's what we need to do. If they get scammed, what do we do? Like, they don't know the number to call. They don't know the company. Do they call the police? Do they call the bank? What do they do? And that's where we've failed people, and we need to do better. And so what you don't do is get people to change their behaviour and the culture of an organisation by telling them how to protect an organisation. You tell them how to protect themselves, and you give them stories about people like them. And you do it through marketing and the storytelling and getting them to engage with people that they could see themselves as. Like, don't put your prescription in the bin because that all of your information is on that, and that could be used, and here's how it could be used. And none of us are immune. The like directors in the National Cybersecurity Centre have clicked on phishing emails. So we've built this whole world where there's this stigma if you don't say anything because you're stupid because you did the wrong thing. And we need to make it okay for people to have that conversation and worry about these things and talk to people and know what to do. And we need to do that at a level where it becomes the fire drill, that you hear something, you see something, and you do something. In the UK, on the underground system, there is an announcement that says, see it, say it, sorted.
Yeah, I heard it. I just heard it. Yeah.
And that's what we need. in bars, I don't know if you've seen this while you've been here, we have posters up that say ask for Angela. Now, Angela is the code word that if you're in danger, say somebody's talking to you or you feel like you need help, you go to the bar and you say, is Angela working? And we're trying to condition a population to say, if you need something, you need to say something, and here's the word that you can say and we'll protect you. And that's what we're not doing in cyber. We need a see it, say it sorted. We need an ask for Angela. What we're doing is saying acronyms and jargon and MFA and 2SV and what does that mean to somebody and how do I protect myself? So what we need is people like you and people like me who know how to communicate and market to people to get them to really understand, and we get them to breed those habits at home and open the window when the smoke alarm goes off, or know what to do when they click on something, because they breed those habits at home and then they come to work and they make your work safer. The companies don't do that because what they do is maintain compliance. And compliance is not protecting anyone.
Yep. I was actually talking with Rob Black right before you.
Yeah.
And I brought up that example of that behavior that comes with education. Like since when you are a kid,
Yeah.
You teach to, yes, there is a light that turns green or red when you can cross the street. There is also the place where you should do that, but yet you should still look left and right, and you get to a point that you just do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the smoke alarm situation where like it's ingrained in your behavior, in your culture, that it's natural. And my question for you, because I think about this and I talk about this a lot, between the hybrid world is a world that we live now online and offline. It's the real world, and yet the real world is also online. It's not some other dimension, some other place. But I feel like a lot of people are still perceiving that as something else. So we always need to bring this metaphor.
Yeah.
And I love metaphor. I think anybody that works in marketing loves metaphor because they kind of come through and really give you an example of what we're trying to say in a much simpler way. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you find yourself when you educate people to really still have to explain that what we do online, it's what we're doing it in real life. It's not it's not our avatar.
Yes.
Right? So tell me a little bit about how you approach that.
So I love the crossing the road analogy, the metaphor, and I think, I don't know, in the UK, everybody remembers who taught you how to cross the road, because in my generation, it was Super Ted and Spotty taught you how to cross the road, and there was a song and there was this whole cartoon, and before me it was Darth Vader taught everybody to cross the road, and now you get these little hedgehogs and everybody remembers that, and that's what we need to create, is those moments.
I call it, I always mention the Smokey the Bear in the United States.
Yes, Smokey the
Great
Bear.
campaign.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in Australia, they do this sun cream, slip, slap, slop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So everybody knows that that's the thing that they're supposed to do, and we've not created those moments. I call it the digital dark alley. We know when we're walking at night, like especially women, and I don't. Hopefully this translates, but women are conditioned from quite a young age, quite sadly, that we carry our keys between our fingers, so that if we're unsafe, we have something that we can do to defend ourselves with. So we are aware of the dark alley, the back street that we're walking down, and what the risks are. But what we don't understand is the digital dark alley and how that relates, but it's so much more damaging. We may be physically harmed in a real dark alley, but what happens when we're approached in a digital dark alley, and the loss and the trauma and not being able to talk about it is huge, and it lives on for so long. To try and regain your stolen or cloned information and control of that is not an easy job, and the average person doesn't know how to do that. So yes, we need to start with the digital dark alley of, this is you, this is who you are. And I think people think that, and I used to say it, right? I used to say, no one's going to take my identity because it's not worth anything, they'll bring it back, they don't want it. But in reality,
it doesn't come back.
It doesn't come back, right? The reality is, and I'm not I'm not 100% sure on the exact numbers, but my PayPal account will be for sale on the dark web for $8. And that's not $8 to you, and that's it, it's gone. It's not a once and done. That is $8 to anybody who wants that. So it's big money in taking something or cloning my information and making that available. And to recover that is huge. I worked with somebody a few years ago, and they had their PayPal compromised. And it had come through their email. So the attack had come through their email. They were using the same password on their email as they were on their PayPal account. So the attacker was able to get into the PayPal. They set up rules within the email account, so none of the PayPal emails were ever hitting the mailbox. They were being deleted as soon as they came in. So there was no warning sign. The warning sign was when they woke up on payday and there was no money in their bank account, because you've got a linked fund source in PayPal. So it takes money from your bank account into this e-banking system, and then that gets distributed around the network. What the attacker did was they were conditioning that bank account for a period of time, months, 1 or 2 pence at a time. So it never raised the alarm. And on payday, when that person got paid and they were not well off, say £1,600 a month they were getting into their bank, that money was gone. But it had been conditioned and they had never reported it. So PayPal then views this as a pattern that is normal for them, that they pay that individual money every couple of days. But what happens when they condition your bank account at 1 or 2 pence a day is you have to report every single one of those transactions as an individual fraud, and that gets investigated.
What?
So they eventually got their money back.
Wow.
1 or 2 pence a time. And we don't understand that, and we're not telling those stories, because that has a real impact. That's, I can't pay my rent, I can't pay for my childcare, I can't do my food shopping. And that is a real impact to a real person. That's why we need to talk about things, and we need to tell these stories and use those stories to help people understand the digital safety. And that is them, that's a real person who now can't feed their kids. That's so important. And it's way more important than saying use a unique password at work and use this corporate enterprise level security, because they will learn it and they bring it to work.
All right, I feel like we speak the same language. So I want to, for the last piece of this conversation, I love storytelling.
Yeah.
I actually have a podcast also about storytelling. And stories are what creates our, how we share morals, like Cinderella and Snow White. There is always a moral, the Grimm brothers, and we teach kids how to be afraid, don't go in the dark wood, and so forth. I feel we need either the public opinion campaign like the Smokey the Bear or the Angela, or the stories that nowadays they start talking about including cybersecurity, because we live with technology. Therefore, we live with cybersecurity. It's part of our life. So, do you know of anything happening at the public level, for example, in the UK, where some public opinion campaign are thoughts, or we're still far from that? And what can we do to do? Let's do something about it.
Unfortunately, we are really, really far from this. And I don't know if this is common knowledge, but in primary school, so in children below the age of 11, they have 1 hour a year of cyber security education.
1 hour a year?
A year.
Wow, that's worse than my English in Italy. Good thing that I learned about myself.
It's
1 hour a year is a
1
joke.
hour a year.
Don't even do it.
By teachers who don't know how to teach.
Who's teaching the teachers?
Yeah, and it's really sad. And I am trying to do something about this. I'm trying to come up with a way where we can drop something into schools where it is just part of your lesson, and the teachers go and mark. And I'm going to try. I have to do something.
You have to.
There's a lady called Wendy Goucher who has written a series of children's books from the age of 4 up to, I think it's teenagers. She's got a series of books. The first one is Nettie in Cyberland, and it's books around how to be cyber safe as children.
Love it.
And so big shout out to Wendy Goucher. And what's really sad about that is that publishers don't, it's too niche. because it doesn't fit into the children's book and it doesn't fit into the cybersecurity book. So we collectively need to lobby publishers and say we have to do this, right? We need every child in the world to have access to Netty and Cyberland, because the schools are just, they don't have the resources and they don't know how to do it. And I'm going to do everything I can to try and get this into mainstream education, to make it the cross the road or the smoke alarm. And we have to do that collectively.
We need to reach that tipping point that there is enough critical mass to become that.
I would love that.
Love it.
If you can do that with your podcast, let's do it.
Well, let's do it together. I mean,
I feel like we need to high five on that.
It takes a tribe. Let's do it.
Let's do it. That's our mission.
All right. And with that, we're going to call it off on this. I hope people are going to be thinking about this, because it really is a problem that touches everybody.
Absolutely.
And being in a conference where there's a lot of B2B experts and professional talking about that, and being able to have this very family, children education, and that applies to enterprise, of course, and people in general.
But these are
it's as important,
these are our next
if
cyber
not more
professionals
important
as well, right? So
exactly.
They need to care about it.
Well, imagine that they get older and they already know and have a culture of security, cybersecurity, then we have halfway, more than halfway there, right?
We're going to build the army.
All right, let's do that. All right, thank you, Jemma.
Thank you.
It was
for
a
having
pleasure.
me.
Thank you, everybody, for following us. Sean is not here to tell you where to find more information about everything we're doing with ITSP Magazine here at InfoSecurity Europe. Try to remember itspmagazine.com/infosec25. I think I did good. He's nodding his head, so I'm very happy. Jemma, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been lovely.
Thank you.